Today, we're going to talk about a different kind of essay. This is the second essay covered in the course. It's where you have to talk about 2 points of view and give your own opinion. So a typical prompt looks like this one. Some people say history is one of the most important school subjects. Other people think that in today's world, subjects like science and technology are more important than history. And the instructions say, discuss both points of view and give your own opinion. So unlike the agree-disagree essay, there's 3 things you have to do. You have to talk about 2 different points of view, and you have to give your own opinion. So the best structure for doing this, and there's a couple ways to do it. So we've talked about 5-paragraph essays, and we've talked about 4-paragraph essays. So in a 5-paragraph essay, you would give your introduction, which is just paraphrasing the prompt, followed by your thesis statement. Then you would give 2 paragraphs, 1 for each supporting reason, followed by a conclusion, which just reiterates your thesis. In this case, because you have to give 2 perspectives and your own opinion, you can do it in 5 paragraphs. So the first body paragraph would be 1 point of view, the second body paragraph would be the second point of view, the third body paragraph would be your opinion, and then you could also have a conclusion at the end. That can be tough to do. It's very straightforward, it's a very clear model, but it's tough to write 3 body paragraphs in the very limited time that you have. So we're going to talk about a 4-paragraph model, so just 2 body paragraphs again. And the structure is going to be again, very similar to agree-disagree, where you talk about the context. And let me just blow this up a little bit. And that's just paraphrase the prompt, and if needed, explain why the issue is important. Give your thesis. Body 1 is going to be, we'll use the same tree structure. You've got your topic, reason, evidence. Evidence means, how do you know that the reason you're giving is actually a valid reason? Example, and significance, which is your connection back to the prompt, where you're explaining how that paragraph is connected to the prompt. And again, we're going to do the same thing for body paragraph 2. And you're going to do another conclusion.
We don't write our opinion.
You're going to put your opinion it's going to be body paragraph 2. Okay. Body paragraph 1 is going to be the side you disagree with. Body paragraph 2 is going to be the other side, the side you agree with. Okay. This is in the lesson on this structure, I refer to something called the salesman's technique. So if you go to a car dealership, let's say you go to a Honda dealership, the salesman is going to ask you, or the sales lady is going to ask you, if you've visited any other different kinds of car dealerships, if you've looked at any other different kinds of cars. And let's say you're in a Honda dealership, but you've already gone to Toyota, so you'll mention, yes, I was looking at Toyotas. The salesman is not going to tell you, you know what, Toyotas are garbage. don't ever buy one of those. Let me tell you about all the great things we have here in a Honda. No. He's going to first say, okay, yeah, Toyotas are a good car. Lots of people like to buy Toyotas because they're well known for their quality. They're quite fuel efficient, da-da-da-da-da. However, lots of other people prefer Hondas because Hondas have this, and Hondas have that, and Hondas have this third thing. And for that reason, I would suggest that you buy a Honda. Okay? That's the basic model of this essay structure. It's the model that every single salesperson uses. They first talk about the benefits of the competition. They don't bash the competition. They don't talk about, salesman's not going to talk about what's wrong with Toyotas. He's going to then switch to talking about Hondas and explain what's good about Hondas and how Hondas are preferable to Toyotas. They have more of the good things you like about Toyotas, fewer of the bad things you don't like about Toyotas. And by the way, I'm just making up the car company examples. And then he's going to suggest why you should buy a Honda based on your needs. Okay. Very typical, traditional structure of a sales pitch. And that's what you're going to follow here. We'll look at a few examples. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, like in this type of essays, we should discuss the 2-point views, right? And like in body paragraph 1, we should like speak disagree, and in the paragraph 2 agree, right? So in which paragraph I should give my opinion, like if I agree or disagree?
Body paragraph 2. We're going to look at a couple examples so you'll see this in action. Now, there's no rule that says you have to choose one side or the other. You can say they're both appropriate if you want to. Because if you look at the wording, it just says discuss both these views and give your opinion. It doesn't say you have to agree with one of them. It doesn't say which side you agree with. It just says give your opinion. So your opinion could be A is better than B. It could be B is better than A. It could be both are appropriate, both are good. And if you wanted to, you could say, I think neither is a good option. Again, I urge you to write about what is easiest for you to write about. Again, the examiner is reading 15 of these per hour. That's 4 minutes per essay, not including the time it takes them to enter the grade. They really don't care what you think. They just want to see that you understand how this works, how to write an essay, how to present two sides, and how to explain which side you agree with. Okay. So let's look at the first one here. Some people say history is one of the most important school subjects. Other people think that in today's world, subjects like science and technology are more important than history. So discuss both these views and give your own opinion. So let me get one person to read. Let's start with Dina. Oh, you have your, okay, there we go.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, in today's world, we are able to study a range of subjects at school. However, some argue that the science and technology are more important than others, like history. I believe, though, that they are all of equal importance.
Okay, so what is the author's opinion?
His opinion that all types of subjects are equally important.
Okay, good. Okay, can
So
you read?
he's not on one side or other side. So he's on the what you call it, on the fence.
Not that he's okay. Yeah, you could say it on the fence, but on the fence generally means that someone is indecisive, right? That they can't decide. If you think they're both of equal importance, then you've got one foot on either side of the fence, we would say.
Okay.
Right?
So in this point, when we discuss about first body paragraph and second one, each one I say I agree with that because there is no disagree.
Yeah, you don't need to disagree with anything. Now, this author talks about the cons of one side, but his perspective is very simple on this matter. It's really simple and it's very realistic, actually. So let's keep reading to find out how he structures his argument. Dina, keep going.
Yes, it can be seen how some people today view science and technology as more important than other subjects. We have moved into the technology age, and these advances are being pushed along by scientific developments.
Developments.
Yeah, developments.
We'll work on that one. Okay, keep going.
And so it is only natural that people put more importance on these subjects at school. For example, universities like MIT are at the cutting edge of technological and scientific developments. And any child that it is interested in these areas would die to get into it. They do vital work for the human race. For example, developing faster communication technologies, finding cures for diseases, and so on. So, if someone is into science and technology, then they would clearly put more importance on these subjects.
Okay, good. Any questions about this paragraph from anyone? Notice the language. First of all, you've got your passive phrase here. It can be seen. So remember, you need to use passive voice if you're aiming for band 7. They are looking for this. Here's another example of passive voice. Now, what kind of language does the author use to indicate that this is an opinion that some people have?
On the first line, it can be seen how some people today view.
Right, it's clear that it's not the author's opinion. He's just describing the viewpoints that some people have. So that's your topic sentence. Next, we've got reason. We've moved into the technological age, and these advances are being pushed along by scientific developments. And so it's only natural that people put more importance on these subjects at school. Dina, how do you say this word?
Yeah, it's development.
Developments. You got to
Development.
hit it. That's it. That's it.
Development.
Yeah, very nice. It's really the stress is on the second syllable here, developments, right? And example, for example, universities like MIT are at the cutting edge of technological and scientific developments. I'm going to highlight this because that's a great phrase, are at the cutting edge. What does that mean?
Oh,
Yeah, do you know this phrase?
no, but like when I I read it like it means the top on technology.
Yes, the most sophisticated technology. Okay, they do vital work. Here's further explanation for the human race, for example, developing faster communication technologies, finding cures for diseases, and so on. So if someone is into science and technology, then they would clearly put more importance on these subjects. There's some really good but simple vocabulary in here. What's a synonym for being interested or being passionate about? What's a synonym in this sentence?
If someone is into.
Yes, is into. This is considered advanced vocabulary. All right, any other questions about this paragraph? Okay, so the final sentence, the significant statement, connects this paragraph to the prompt. Now let me get Allah to read the last part, second half.
Okay. However, there are an equal number of people that say the history is more important. History in school today does not just cover the history of the country of our birth, but it encompasses the history of other countries and civilizations. This helps us to understand one another so that students can understand where different people come from and build meaningful relationships in the real world. Even the famous scientist Carl Sagan once said that we have to know the past to understand the present. And he was trying to make the point that history is subject, just as important as science and technology.
Okay, good. All right.
Although, okay,
Sure, finish it off if you want.
okay. All in all, although there will always be people that says that in science or technology are more important than history, I would say that history is as equal importance as them.
Okay. So where did the author indicate his opinion? Two places, right? Only two places in this essay.
There are an equal number? Oh, geez, state.
No, so this is the topic sentence for the second part, right? This is the other point of view, right? So he goes, he starts off by saying there's an equal number of people that say that history is more important. And then he goes on to explain why it's important, because it encompasses the history of other countries and civilizations. Okay, so you ask yourself, so what? So he goes on to say this helps us understand one another so that students can understand where different people come from and build meaningful relationships in the real world. What does encompass mean, by the way? I'm going to highlight this word because it's a really good one. What's the root of this word?
Like make you understand.
Close.
Embrace.
Sorry?
Embrace.
Include.
Include. You know, compass, north, south, east, west. Right, so think of a compass as all the points of a compass. Includes everything. So really, really good word to use. Okay, example, Carl Sagan, famous physicist or physics professor. And then the author's opinion is just here in the top and here at the bottom. In this particular example, where he's chosen a position that they are of equal importance, this is the structure that this author chose. This is happens to be a writing examiner. Okay, so you can do this. It's perhaps not as explicit as I would suggest, but you can do this kind of thing, right? Because your position is clear throughout. You've stated it at the beginning, it's stated at the end. I know what position it is. I know you're saying that both are equally important. So the structure of your argument is, first of all, just to explain why one is really important, and then to explain why the other is really important, and it takes care of itself. Right? So you need good, solid reason on each side, and that's it. Any questions about this one? Okay, good. I'll take your silence to mean that this is crystal clear. I'll take that as a good sign. Not that that you're all completely confused and just staying quiet out of some kind of embarrassment. Okay, we'll keep going. So there's an analysis here. This is also on the course page. You can read this on your own time. We've already covered it. Let's look at another example. Some people think that all university students should study whatever they like. Others believe that they should only be allowed to study subjects that will be useful in the future, such as those related to science and technology. Discuss both these views and give your own opinion. What do you think, Safa? Which side would you choose?
Yes. Sorry.
Yep, for this question, which side would you choose? Do you think the students should be allowed to study whatever they want, or should they only be allowed to study useful subjects?
I think should give them a chance to choose to study whatever they like.
Okay, why is that?
Because usually if you study or you do anything you love it, you will be expert on that and you will enjoy what you did.
What about the other alternative? Why do you think some people think students should only be permitted to study useful subjects, especially those connected with science and technology?
Some people believe that because they think if they leave the people choose whatever they want to read, they will not have enough time to study the important subject like a science and technology. And this is like one reason. Second reason, maybe they think if they like if they study like science and technology, they will be greater chance to find like good position later in their life.
Yeah, so we'll say it will make them more employable.
Okay.
So that's a good word. It will make them more, another word you could use is marketable.
Marketable. Employable. Okay.
Or you can say it will give them marketable skills.
Okay.
Young people tend to be quite idealistic. So a lot of people, when they go to university, they pick subjects that they're kind of passionate about, but they're not clear on how those subjects will lead to any kind of career, right?
Yeah.
I think I've mentioned my own story. I decided to major in psychology and politics. I did a double major because I was just interested in the world. I wanted to know why people are screwed up. So that's why I studied psychology, and I wanted to know why, there's so many conflicts between countries, why the world is so screwed up. So that's why I decided to study politics. But the whole time at university, not one person sat down with me and said, what the hell are you going to do with those skills? What is that going to qualify you to do? Who is going to give you money for what you are learning? Because essentially, all I learned how to do was write essays. I learned how to read. I learned how to write. So kind of a classic university education, because in the old days, university wasn't seen as a place to gain practical knowledge per se. It was a place where you learned how to be a leader in society. So people who wanted to be in the clergy, in law, in education, they would go to school, they would learn all this kind of background philosophy, and they would learn how to write, they would learn how to speak, and they would learn how to persuade. Right? The goal was not to teach you practical skills to give you a job. Right? If you're going to get a job, you would mentor with a professional in that field. Right? You would join a guild, or you would just do whatever your dad was doing.
Exactly. Actually, you are talking about my husband.
And what does he do?
He studied medicine
Mm-hmm.
back home, and after we moved here to Canada, he changed his mind because this is not his choice from the beginning. He starts studying from beginning.
And what?
Now he did. Now he's doing aviation.
Aviation.
Yeah.
Okay, so medicine was not challenging enough?
No, he doesn't like.
Okay. Why did he? See, you could use your husband as an example in this. It's often much easier to talk about your personal history than it is to try and invent things. Why did he go into medicine in the first place?
I think his dad is encouraging him to be a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't like from the beginning.
Okay.
But he finished it. He finished his university and started doing master in something called molecular biology.
Mm-hmm.
Then after all this, he leave all this stuff when he finds another chance to do what he liked from the beginning.
Wow, that's very cool. A lot of people
Very
would,
difficult.
yeah, and to give all that up.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so much inertia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most people can't make that switch because they've put so much time into, or they've invested so much time into pursuing that career that even if they hate it, they just can't let it go.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is, every parent practically just wants their kid to go into law, engineering, medicine, IT, right? And a lot of kids, this is just not for them. They don't have the right mindset. It's not what interests them. And I think in many cases, it results in just bad doctors, bad engineers, bad dentists. I mean, apparently dentists have the highest suicide rate.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. You're like, yes, I'm
Totally
making
agree
all
with
this
you.
money, but I'm staring into people's dirty mouths all day long. I can't take it anymore.
Yeah. If you don't like what you do, you cannot like continue.
Yeah, you just
Find a chance, you will change all. You will change everything, even if you will start from the beginning. But for me, I like the medicine.
well, that's good.
I don't think I can do anything other than that.
Yeah. And I've met people like that too. Like I had a childhood friend, and she had all kinds of health problems when she was young. And she spent a couple of years in the hospital due to some spinal problems. And when she was a very young girl, she got it in her head that she would devote her life to helping kids avoid the kind of pain that she went through. And
wow.
just from 13 years of age, she was like, I'm going to be a doctor. And it was easy for her. It was frictionless. She just studied like a crazy person, got the highest possible marks, went straight into medicine, and she still loves it to this day. Again, like you said, she couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Yeah.
Right. So in that case, it works out.
Yeah, she had a goal and she reached this goal because she loved it.
Yeah. But on the other side of the fence, I'm just going to play devil's advocate for a second, is some of you heard me tell the story of my sister, and she went to an arts high school. And at some point she said, I love art, but it's not realistic to think that I'm going to be able to make a living as an artist, just painting. And so when she got into university, she kept up with art, and she took fine art history.
Yeah.
And it's a very difficult, very rigorous major. And she also took criminology because she got into her head that she wanted to be in the business of art. She wanted to work for an auction house. And, criminology comes in handy because there's so much fraud, there's so much, fake jewelry, fake paintings that you have to be able to detect these. And immediately upon graduation, she was hired by one of the major auction houses.
Oh, wow.
And she progressed very quickly through the ranks, and said they had limited opportunities for her in Canada, so she went to their Manhattan office, and she loves what she does. She travels all over the United States, visiting people's homes, looking at their jewelry collections, evaluating them. So this for her is just the perfect job. But
Yeah,
on the
it's
other
great.
hand, sorry, go ahead.
It's great, yeah. I like it actually.
Yeah. But her friends from the same high school, it was an art school, so they were all like into dance, theater, fine art. All of her friends decided to keep pursuing fine arts in university. And my sister's a lot younger than me. So right now they're all approaching about 30 years of age. And I think she is the only one with a steady career. All of the other ones who decided to pursue their passion, who were very idealistic. So I'll write these down here. Pursue your passion. They're idealistic. They're all waiting tables, working in restaurants as servers, or they're working in retail, working in shops. They either live in their parents' basement or they have a whole bunch of roommates. Means that they can't start families. They can't afford a car.
Mm-hmm.
They can't really afford to do anything, and they're nearly 30 years old, right? And life hasn't even really started for them. They're like basically 30-year-old teenagers still.
Oh my God.
Yeah, oh my God. So with these people, I mean, you can be of two minds, right? You can say, well, that's just part of the risk if you're an artist. Like, look at Van Gogh, right? If you wanted to buy a Van Gogh today, how many millions of dollars would it be? But the fact is, Van Gogh during his lifetime sold a single painting. And that single painting was secretly bought by his brother to make him feel good. Right? So really, he didn't sell a single thing, and he killed himself out of despair.
Yeah.
Right?
I think if you don't like this, it never you can.
So what if you're really talented? What if you're Van Gogh? And what do you say to that kind of kid? Do you let them pursue their fine arts career knowing that they will probably be poor? Or do you shake them and say, no, this is a nice hobby. No one's telling you to give up painting, Johnny. You can keep painting in the evenings and on the weekend, but if you want to have a normal life, if you want a house and a car and a family, then those things cost a lot of money.
I think by a normal feeling of parent, I will try to I will try to explain for them all this story and try to change their mind. But if they don't accept, I will not force anyone to do something. Yeah, like he doesn't like.
Mm-hmm.
I will let them to do whatever they want.
Okay.
But for sure, I will try to discuss this issue several times. Maybe if I repeat it like 100 times, they will change their mind.
Maybe, or they'll just hate you.
Yeah.
Right? Right? Because kids really, a lot of them take it really badly when you try and dissuade them from their dreams.
Yeah.
There's another good word. So we've got, you all know persuade, but the opposite of is dissuade. Dissuade someone from pursuing a goal. Dissuade someone from pursuing. So it's persuade someone to pursue. Dissuade someone from pursuing. What do the others think?
Like other reason why they.
Well, I just want to ask some other people in the class. Sylvia, what do you think?
I think that I would try to suggest to pick another subject maybe to study and keep it as a passion. And if that's meant to be for you, then some opportunity might come later in the future.
Mm-hmm. How about you? When you went to school, was it to pursue something that was your passion, or was it someone else's goal for you?
I was actually trying to pursue my passions, but once I got older, I realized that this might not work, and I need to think about some other options too and consider them.
Okay. What made you realize that what you were doing might not work?
Probably coming to Canada and leaving my parents, that I cannot really count on them anymore, and I need to live my life.
And so what were you doing previously? I know you told me before, but other people in the class might not have heard your story.
So before I came here, I was studying Polish language.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I was planning to be a Polish teacher or journalist.
Mm-hmm.
But then I came here and I had to change my plan.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm thinking to go for media communications or criminal justice.
And why did you choose media communications and criminal justice. Those seem like completely different things.
Yeah, they are totally different, but I like some stuff about both of those things. So I know it's like hard to pick which one I should go. But I think they are both. I think that after both of them, I will have some work after, because there are some subjects that you can study and you don't have any job after that.
Keep in mind too, like as with my sister's example, there's countless unique ways of integrating two different skill sets or two different majors, right? And if you can do that successfully, that means you've got no competition in the job market, because you've got complementary skills that work together in a way that someone with only one skill set can't compete against. So automatically that makes you stand out. Just off the top of my head, if you're doing media and criminal justice, it could be dealing with like press releases for a law firm, for example, could be doing media communications for a police organization, for the court system. So that's, the more I think about it, that's not too weird what you're doing. There's lots of ways to put those together.
Yeah, it would be possible to combine, and then that would be also a good option, because the media communication is kind of more related to this, what I wanted to do earlier, and the criminal justice, it's more something that I got more interested here than before. So yeah, could be something good about it.
Okay. Allah, what inspired you to pursue medicine?
To be honest, like when I was in high school, like I was good in bioscience subjects I like, and I like medicine. That's all. Like it was my dream and my passion. Like nobody forced me.
Okay. Okay, so some of you are just in a very envious position where you chose something that's really difficult, very high paying, and at the same time, it's something that you want to do.
Yes, exactly.
So you're in a very fortunate situation compared to the majority of young people who want to do something easy and make a lot of money, and it's just not realistic, or they want to pursue something like, this one always comes up for criticism, like what if your kid wants to do something like gender studies, right? So gender studies is a fairly modern university major where you talk about the role of men and women in society, perhaps how gender is a kind of social construct rather than something that's inherently true. You talk about all kinds of discrimination issues, how different people should be treated, whether we need a third type of bathroom, for example, not just men's and women's, but a different kind of bathroom. And a lot of people, they just scratch their head and they go, what are you going to do with that other than to become another gender studies professor? I mean, what exactly are you qualified to do? Okay. And when kids are young, they don't think about the future too much. They think about right now. And so this essay is about, what would you tell such a person?
Like, first of all, like I will try like to convince him that choosing a better career is like will help him in the future, and I will keep like give him examples. And I think like God or the nature of the kids or childhood and the mind of it's different than older people. Like you can't convince him you can like direct him to in one direction because he's young, like his brain is still like you can direct it or you can follow it, you know. But like if it will be harder in older people, yeah, that's how I will do it. I believe in that, to be honest. Like it's hard to convince them, but if you convince them, it's easy like to make them complete or go at that field. Unless like he's there is some kids like they don't listen, like closed-minded, you know.
Mm-hmm.
At that time you will shake him. At that time you will shake him a good shake to make him wake up. Yeah.
There's a famous quote, and I can't remember exactly what the words are, but it's something to this effect, that the people who really change the world are the most unreasonable people, right? Because a reasonable person will adapt himself or herself to the world, whereas a completely unreasonable person will try to make the world adapt to what they want.
Exactly.
Right, so it's the unreasonable people who change the world, who aren't satisfied with the way it is. I mean, a great modern example of that would be Steve Jobs. Right, he looked at the way things were and he's like, nah, I don't like it. Keep working on it. Give me what I want. And the engineers would say, that's impossible. Be like, I don't care. Make it happen. You know, like there's there's like lots of famous anecdotes, but for example, his engineers brought him like an early version of the iPhone. He looked at it, he goes, this thing is too big. And the engineers were like, Steve, that's as small as we can make it. Like it's impossible to make it even smaller. So he took this early iPhone and he dumped it into his fish tank. He just threw it in his fish tank. And when the thing was sinking to the bottom of the fish tank, there's like little bubbles coming out. And he goes, see, there's air bubbles coming out. That means there's still empty space inside. You can make it smaller. Right? So there's lots of stories about him being completely unreasonable and forcing other people to, you know, try harder and work harder to make his dreams become real. So anyway, there's lots of ways to approach this question. Let's see how this example works.
But I think like even in careers and job, I think luck play a big role in that. Like luck and the environment and the situation you were at. There's like million situations which can affect your decision or your, for example, like the last people who talked, they said like when we came to Canada, we had to change our plan. So this is a factor.
Especially when your original career is heavily language focused. Like Sylvia was saying, she wanted to be a teacher, Polish teacher. Very hard to do when you move to an English-speaking country, right?
Yeah, exactly.
My mother had that issue. She was a history major. She loved writing about history, but then that doesn't really transfer when you move to an English-speaking country because your language skills have to be at such an insanely high level to write about history, for example, that it was just, she didn't feel that it was realistic or possible to get back into that field. So yes, dreams have to change to adapt. Agreed. Okay, let's have a look at this model and let me ask Oksana to start reading.
As more and more people go to university, some have called into question some students' choice of university courses.
Some argue that only subjects that will be beneficial in the future, like science and technology, should be allowed to be chosen, while others hold the belief that the students should be able to choose what they want to study. In my opinion, students should be free to study what they wish.
Okay. Any questions about the introduction?
Okay, belief and believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why it's not believe or why it's belief?
Well, what part of speech is this word here?
While others believed.
Hold the belief. Is that a noun, a verb, an adjective, an adverb, preposition, article? What is it?
Good question.
Well, the clue is this word.
The.
So this is probably.
Noun.
Yeah.
It's a noun. So belief with an F is the noun version. Whereas
Okay.
I believe your story is IEVE.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I want to know. Yeah, I believe and the whole the belief. Okay, I'm gonna Google it.
Okay. And we have here an example of passive voice. Right? What's the author's position in this one? Okay, what's the author's opinion? Okay, it's not a trick question.
Yeah, that's the opinion that students should be free to study wherever they wish.
That's it. Okay, Oksana, keep going.
If students are forced to choose a course that they are not interested in, it will cause a lot of stress and may lead to wasting a year of your life. An example of this is a friend of mine, Fred. He was the same university as me and was studying computer science. He had wanted to study law, but his parents had pushed him into doing computer science as they believed it would be more useful for his future. After one semester, he dropped out as he just wasn't interested, nor motivated enough. He tried to transfer to the law department, but it was too late and he had to wait for the following year to join the faculty. This wouldn't have happened if he had been allowed to study what he had wanted in the first place.
Okay, very nice reading. Any questions about the vocab?
Not for me.
Okay.
Should I continue?
Let's have a look at this one first. So your topic sentence, if students are forced to choose a course they're not interested in, it will cause a lot of stress and may lead to wasting a year of your life. Okay, author goes right into an example, Fred. Okay, Fred was studying computer science. He had wanted, we've got a few examples here of past perfect. Just as a super quick review, if you have two past situations, the earlier one takes past perfect. He had wanted to study law, but his parents had pushed him into doing computer science as they believed it would be more useful for his future. Okay? So this is why other people do this. After one semester, he dropped.
Mr. Yan, can we say he wanted? Why we need to put here which the event it's before?
He was at the same university as me and was studying computer science. Before he studied computer science, he'd wanted to study law, but his parents had pushed him into doing computer science.
Okay.
After one semester, he dropped out. This is at the same time as he was at the same university. At the one semester, he dropped out as he just wasn't interested nor motivated enough. This is good vocabulary too. Had pushed him into. I'm going to highlight that in green. He tried to transfer to the law department, but it was too late, and he had to wait for the following year to join the faculty. So this connects to lead to wasting a year of your life. This wouldn't have happened if he had been allowed to study what he had wanted in the first place. Okay, so this is your connection to the prompt, the significant statement. Let's go with Safa. Or Safa, you've already read, right? Who hasn't read yet? Sylvia?
Yep.
Go ahead.
However, it can be argued that some degrees are not particularly useful. My brother studied sociology as he was interested in it and also because he was good at it. Nevertheless, once he had graduated, he found it very difficult to find work in the field. He ended up working as an administrative assistant in local government while he went to evening classes to reskill and get a degree in environmental science. This proved far more useful, and he was able to gain employment that not only paid substantially more, but offered him far more promotion opportunities. If he had been made to study something that would have been more useful for his future, he might have been able to avoid wasting 3 years studying sociology.
Okay. So here, had been made to study. We've got a nice big phrase. It's both passive and past perfect. So okay, any questions about that paragraph? Nope. Okay. And Sylvia, last paragraph.
To conclude, although there are some good arguments that support the idea that only certain subjects that will be useful in the future should be studied at the university, I believe that it is the individual's choice to select a course based on their interests.
Okay, good. So where do we see the author's point of view?
Similar to the previous one.
Yep. We've got here at the top, in my opinion, students should be free to study what they wish. And then we've got it here at the end. Anywhere else?
If he had?
So yeah, this entire significant statement. And anywhere else?
And this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. So this one's a bit different in its structure. Okay, so you've got the author's opinion in several different places in this one. And sorry, let me just clarify one point here. In this second body paragraph, what's the purpose of this final sentence compared to the author's thesis? So the author's arguing, in my opinion, students should be free to study what they wish. All right, so this is the other point of view. If he'd been made to study something that would have been more useful, he might have been able to avoid wasting 3 years studying sociology. Right? But despite this fact, the author is still arguing that people should be allowed to study based on their own interests. Okay, so for today's assignment, I'm going to give you a choice of essay. You can do either the first one or the second one, but not just copying these ones, you should present your own arguments. Why don't we write some thesis statements? Choose one of these essay topics and write a thesis statement, say in the next 5 minutes or so. Let me just share this document with you. Okay, so I put the link in the chat. Pick just one of them and write a thesis statement that includes your reasons as well. If you're stuck in terms of your overall structure of how to build this essay, this is kind of a quick and dirty way to do it, right? Your first body paragraph is just give the opposite reasons for the side that you disagree with. Give the reasons that a supporter of this side would provide. The other side that you actually agree with, you can use this sentence. On the other side are those who argue that blah, 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 and just end it by saying, and I agree. That's it. And then go into the reasons, the evidence, the examples for the other perspective, still using the same kind of language that's used here. An equal number of people that say, you don't need to keep saying, you don't need to say I think or I believe. Use reported speech, right? That this is what other people believe, this is what other people argue, and then in the significant statement, explain or just reiterate why you support that position.
I can't say if you're just a career.
Sorry, Allah?
I can't say if you it's from future. If you're just take careers,
If you
no, it's from future. If you're just like expressing the future careers, I can't say that. Like I'm writing. I agree with people saying that students should study or choose futuristic careers.
Oh, futuristic.
Yes.
Futuristic means something that looks like it came from the future. So like, you know, like the Tesla truck.
Yeah, I got you.
So that would be like a futuristic design. But
like, what is the synonyms for that?
Well, it depends on what exactly you're trying to say.
Like I'm saying, I agree with people saying that student should study like technology and science. Like, I agree with people saying that students should study careers that will help them in the future.
Yes. Study. They should study fields. You can say study a field, right? They should study fields that will be in demand in the future.
Okay.
In particular, those related to science and technology. Okay, that's really what it's saying. You don't need to argue anything more deeply in a thesis for this topic. Simply saying, there's going to be a lot of demand for those jobs. It's going to be easy to get a job. It'll pay quite well, and that's it. Okay, a couple people have posted them. All right, let's have a look. Okay, Dina, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just a couple issues. So you've got to earn a job.
Yeah, I thought something is wrong here. So, high-paid job, to work in a high-paid job or to
To obtain.
obtain? Yes, obtain high-paid job. Acquire. Obtain, acquire. Okay.
Even
I
get.
believe get. I believe that choosing subjects
Yeah, I would do that. Choosing subjects.
that students like to study is important because they can be creative and productive in that major.
Yeah, good. Okay. So Ala, you have to paraphrase this stuff, okay? Because this should study whatever they like is in the question, and it's also in your response. So that's a no-no. Okay, you got to put that in your own words. On the other hand, people think the students. You got to put a small word in here.
The people?
Other people. Some people believe. On the other hand, then we've got others again. It's not the worst, but you need this word. Students. Technology. Their own decisions to choose the subject they like. And should study, what's this word?
Field.
How do you spell field?
F-E. F-I.
Fields. In sure. Now, can you paraphrase this? Can you put this in your own words?
Okay, some people should choose whatever they like.
Some people believe that all students at university, let's say, should be allowed, or, well, that's the same as the question. Should be, what's a synonym for allowed?
Freedom. Should be happy with freedom.
Give them the option to choose.
Or should be permitted to study whatever they like. Synonym could be whatever they want. On the other hand, other people So if you have this situation, on the other hand, other people, we can just get rid of on the other hand.
Yeah, other people.
Other people. I think that students should study subjects like science and technology, right? That will be useful in the future. Okay, so let's add one little word. Can we put an adjective in here? What kind of subjects are we talking about?
Science?
Well, science and it's subjects like science and technology, he wrote, but
Yeah.
we need like an adjective or some kind of
Related subjects?
well, what is it about these subjects? Why is the prompt creating this contrast between these two types of subjects? One is a subject that people just want to study. What's the other kind of subject?
Maybe like valuable.
Yeah.
Beneficial.
Well, I wouldn't use either of those words because they're very subjective. What's valuable to you might not be valuable to someone else. Do you know that expression, one man's trash is another man's treasure? I don't know if you want to work this in, but that's a saying. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Okay, so valuable and beneficial, that depends on the perspective, right?
Important.
Same thing. You can say it's, oh, this is important to me. I don't care if you find it important or not.
Future related?
Helpful.
Future related subjects?
But why are they?
Interesting. In demand?
Yeah. That's an adjective I would use. Because in demand is not, this is not a subjective word. This is objective, right? If you're an artist, that is not an in-demand field. If you're a doctor, especially today, that's very, very, very in demand, right?
Very,
That's just,
very.
yeah, that just means,
Not in Canada.
you know, that just means what the market wants, right? Dina, if it were up to me, I would hire you today as a doctor, as my doctor.
Thank you.
Okay, this is Oksana here. Some people believe that history is one of the most important schools. Okay. I'm just going to copy the question. So this is pretty much the same, right? History is one of the most important school subjects. This is the same as the original. You can't do that. While others strongly pursue that subjects like science are more essential than other subjects. Okay. In my opinion, both subjects are important and should be equally distributed into a school program. This last part is a little bit awkward. All right, how do we fix this? Oksana, how would you put this in your own words?
The history, okay. Some people believe that history subject is very important in school program. I just turn over the sentence, you know? Nothing changed actually.
Rearranging the order of words is also paraphrasing because it's not so easy to do. You're very likely to screw it up if your language skills are not high. So that's why you can just rearrange things. So one more time.
Some people believe that history is subject, or actually, a history, it's a subject, or it could be some subject, the other word, you know, the other word of subject.
Okay. Any suggestions?
Some, I don't know, subject, not object, right?
And say studying history.
Okay. What about studying history? Dina, you have a suggestion?
Discipline, probably, no?
Yeah, discipline or field.
Oh, exactly. Okay. That history discipline is very important in school program. But it's
What's a synonym for very important? One word.
Essential.
Yeah, is an essential.
I already have this word there.
History is an essential discipline, while others strongly pursue. Pursue as follows. So you would use it as I'm pursuing my passion. The police are pursuing the robber.
Believe, maybe.
Yep.
Well,
Believe, think, argue,
think,
any of
okay.
those words.
Okay. And for me, it's very interesting that the last part of this, okay, are more important because essential is already there, right?
Yeah, but science and technology is already in the question.
Yeah.
So
What does mean discipline here? An essential discipline.
Discipline means something that you're studying.
The same as a subject, right?
Subject, discipline, field.
First
It's
time I
not
learned
the same
discipline.
as, you know, disciplining a bad dog.
Yes, Al. Okay.
Okay, that are more essential, strongly. Should I? Okay. And that technology and science are more essential. Is that something wrong with that?
Well, you've already got essential.
Yes, I know.
So let's do something different.
Okay. And the other part of sentence should be equally distributed into school programs. Something wrong with that. What exactly wrong? Should be equally distributed or have to?
It's just weird.
Oh, it's weird.
It's not direct language. You're forcing people to think too hard about what you're trying to say.
Okay.
And it's never good to make people think.
My opinion about the subject.
Never, ever, ever ask people to think.
Okay, and how to replace? In my opinion, both subjects are important.
And what is this about?
I would like to explain there that all subjects are existing in the program and both of them are actually equal and
Okay.
They should be there.
You're thinking too hard. You got to stop doing that. Okay. In my opinion, both subjects, okay, so your brain's not working, it's a high stress situation, synonyms are not popping into your head for important. So the question uses important twice in the prompt, but important is the adjective. What's the noun?
Importance.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, you know what, Mr. Yan, I have a trouble with that. Importance, response, and I still don't know where I have to use it.
Well, respond is a verb and response is a noun. So you would say, I'm waiting until you respond. Or you would say, I'm waiting for your response.
Oh, okay. And so I've got your response.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay, or thank you
subjects
for responding to my message.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so here, in my opinion, both subjects are
are
of
paramount importance.
Equally
Of
important. Equally important.
importance.
yeah. So are equally important is the same as are of equal importance.
It's the same.
It's exactly the same. These are equivalent.
So can I use both? Both?
Yeah, but you want to use this one because the prompt already uses important twice.
Okay. Yeah.
So if the easiest way to do this is to change the form of the word, but then your grammar
So,
knowledge
Mr.
has to kick
Yang,
in.
the first one are equally important. Sorry.
Yeah.
First one are equally important. So here important is adjective.
Yes.
And this equally adverb.
Yes. Because it's the ly, right? That's your clue.
Okay. And are
Yes.
cause of after it is noun clause.
Yes. So importance is the noun.
Noun, and this one adjective to the noun.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And this is a
So,
very common
nice,
expression.
yeah.
These are of equal importance, or these are equally important. Okay, in my opinion, both subjects are of equal importance. That's it. You don't, this is like crazy complicated, and really I have to think about what it means. Should be equally distributed into a school program. It's really hard to visualize what that means. Okay. So here, we still need a synonym for this.
Okay,
I'm not
yeah.
letting you off the hook yet.
No. Should I? Okay. Okay, I'm stuck. Okay, can we use that word valuable? I thought valuable, it's like when you need to evaluate something, you know?
Yes. And that's an opinion, right? So for one person, I wrote this, yeah, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Right, so this is, yes, it's a subjective idea, but that's why we're saying others think it's not as valuable or useful as science and technology. Because that's what this is about, right? What do people think is valuable? Some people think that history is an essential discipline, while others think it's not as valuable or useful as science and technology. In my opinion, both subjects are of equal importance.
Thank you.
So you can flip it around. If you're stuck saying, while others think science and technology are also essential, are also important, you can just kind of reformulate it as the opposite idea of that. Like good can also be expressed as not bad. Or fast can be expressed as not slow. So there's always that opposite way of describing things. Okay, so Sylvia, you've got the same issue here. One of the most important school subjects are far more important. So this is, so on the exam, you can't do this. This is far too close to the original. So despite the fact, okay, despite the fact is followed by that. So there's going to be no punctuation here.
Okay.
Does that make sense or no?
Yeah.
Because it's despite the fact that blah, blah, blah. So this comma is where the break is.
Mm-hmm.
Play crucial. Okay, good. So how do we fix these small issues here?
Roles in people's lives.
Yeah, see, this apostrophe is super important.
Mhm.
And since you're talking about people plural, history is unfortunately an undervalued subject. Okay, good. Now, I'm not going to let you off the hook. I need you to put this in your own words.
Mm-hmm. Many people believe that studying history is.
Now, this is in the prompt,
So some people believe.
yes, but I would say that when you have people as your subject, people is not a strong subject. That's a good opportunity to use passive voice. What's the passive voice version of many people believe?
Mm.
We're going to use our dummy subject construction.
Disbelieve that?
Yeah. You don't need the word people at all.
Mm.
It's believed that. Another way to do this is it is a widely held belief that.
Studying history is very important subject.
It's studying history is, sorry, go ahead.
It's a very important school subject.
Studying is not a subject.
Mm.
It doesn't make sense to say studying history
Mhm.
is a subject.
It's very important.
But important is used twice in the prompt.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the version that we talked about just a few moments ago?
To change important for importance.
Mm-hmm.
Of equal importance.
Right, but it's not equal, right? Here you're saying is of great importance. And we can put it is widely believed that studying history is of great importance. Okay, what about the next part?
Mm-hmm. So can I start the same, however some people think?
Well, we don't need to use the word people, right? Some
Okay.
think
That science and technology are more important.
yeah. Can you change it to importance?
Mm-hmm. We have already great, so
Yep.
greater.
Mr. Yan, up to here is like paraphrasing the question.
Mm-hmm.
So now we need to do the thesis. Again, we will do, although this one is important. So like we are repeating, but it's okay.
You don't really get marks before the intro and the conclusion.
Yes.
Most of
so.
your marks are in the body, so it doesn't do you any good to have like a really detailed
Or only
introduction.
sophisticated, no need.
No, just you have to start with the context, because all writing starts with the context, because someone is going from whatever they're thinking about, you're trying to get their attention and get them to focus on this topic. So you have to introduce the background information and why it's an important topic. Then you simply state your position and that's it. And then most of your marks are in the body paragraphs where you develop your ideas. Okay, so just make the introduction short and sweet and get right into your body paragraphs. Okay, any questions? So your choice which one you want to do. The URLs are here, but I'll post, and you've already got the link, so I'll post it anyway in the news forum. Other than that, that's it for today then. Okay, this is due Thursday at noon, and then rewrites Friday at noon. And I look forward to seeing your writing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good
Thank
Okay.
you.